In today's video, I'm going to share a 5-part process on how to change company culture. Now, this could be something that you do whether you're experiencing issues in your company or if you simply just want to elevate the performance of your organization overall. If you're into improving performance of your organization and just elevating it to take it to the next level, then hit that subscribe button because that is all I talk about on this channel. You'll want to stick around for more. My name is Sadaf Sheikh and I have helped organizations implement tiny changes in their companies that yield really big culture changes in their organizations. Today, we're going to talk about the 5-part process that I have used with great success with my clients. But before we jump into organizational culture change, let's talk about what culture actually is. Now, I've mentioned this in previous videos, but culture is essentially how you do work in the company. So it's a collection of your beliefs, your values, your mission, all of that stuff. But at its core, really what it is how the people in your company, including yourself, do work within the organization. Okay, so now that that's out of the way, we can jump into the actual content. So to make this video just easier to follow, I'm going to use a very specific example and we'll follow that example through all the way to the end of the video. And that is typically when leaders want to change company culture, when there's a trigger, it's because there's an issue in the organization. And so in today's video, we're going to use the example of really high employee turnover. So you as a leader have noticed that your organization has super high employee turnover, which means more than the average amount of people are leaving your organization before you're ready to let them go. Okay, so the first step in this process to change organizational culture is to figure out what your current culture actually is. And the easiest way that I tell my clients to find that out is to really just go and ask your employees. Now, of course, it's always good to get a third party to come in and do this for you, and that's certainly something that I do for my clients, but it's absolutely not a requirement. You can go out and find that information out for yourself. And typically you would gear the questions towards what the actual issue is that you're experiencing, or what the issue is that's triggering why you want to do the assessment in the first place. So in our example for this video, it's high employee turnover. So you want to try and understand how employees are feeling while they're working inside your organization, and also understanding why your employees are leaving the company. And you can pinpoint certain things, for example, leadership, career advancement opportunities, how challenging the work is while they're working there. Also look at your hiring practices. So what types of people are you bringing into the organization? Are they super high qualified employees? Regardless, your core objective with this first step is to just find out what's happening today. You're really getting an assessment of the lay of the land as it stands in your company today. One thing that I often hear leaders tell me is that, oh, my employees don't want to open up about what the real issues are. Here's what I'll tell you, if this is something that you're experiencing right now, is that yes, in the beginning, your employees may have a hard time sharing some sensitive information with you for fear of reprisal or repercussions. So my advice to you, and this may be a long drawn out process, but my advice to you is to hold all judgment and all reaction in the moment that you're hearing this feedback. The worst thing you can do is to either react right away when somebody gives you feedback on something that's happening that you don't think is the right thing to be happening, something that you want to change. Resist the urge to make changes immediately. At this stage of the process, all you're doing is taking in information from your teams. You are not reacting, you're not putting any changes in place, and you're not going and talking to another leader to find out why this is happening. This is just your current state assessment. Once you've completed that and you have a good set of things that your employees have told you as to why potentially people are leaving sooner than you would like them to, look at that list, and now is the time when you sit down with your senior leadership team to brainstorm some ideas on how to fix those issues. So my suggestion though is, because after you finish the previous step, you're going to come away with a long list potentially of all the things that your employees have said that things that need to change. My suggestion is to pick the top 3 to 5 things that will have the biggest impact with the smallest amount of effort, or the easiest things to implement. So I would suggest no more than 5. 3 would be ideal. So in our example, it could be things like having a stronger management team, or it could be creating more career opportunities within your company that people can move into, or it could be having regular career conversations with employees, or it could be knowing what people's career aspirations even are. So once you have that list of things that people have suggested that they would like to see more of or less of, or changes that need to be made, ordinalize it, put it in rank order, and then we move on to the next step. The next thing to keep in mind is that culture change doesn't happen overnight. This takes years, depending on how much you're trying to shift people's behaviors and how much you're trying to shift how things are done in your company. Keeping that in mind, these 3 to 5 things that you did in the previous step, now what you're going to do is you're going to build out a multi-year plan. So you're going to tackle potentially thing 1 in year 1, thing 2 in year 2, 3, 4, and 5, etc. Now, this may seem like a long time, but remember, if you truly want the change to hold and to catch, it does take time. You're going to have to reiterate, you're going to have to put systems and processes in place to make sure that people are behaving in the way that you want them to, and change. People take time to respond to change. Once you've laid out the multi-year plan, then you can move on to the next step of the actual implementation piece. So going back to our example of the high employee turnover, we had our list of 3 or 4 things that we wanted to get done. Improving leadership or management seems to be the most important thing, because yes, that's the thing that's going to take the most time, but it will also have the biggest impact. When we equip our leaders to be able to ask the right questions and give high potential, high performing employees with meteor projects, people may be less inclined to leave. Plus, in our example, and we know this, is that people rarely leave organizations, they leave the leaders. So once we tackle that leader problem, there's a high likelihood that our employee turnover will reduce. Finally, you're in that implementation phase where you've taken all of your assessment results, you've taken all of your planning, you've put out this wonderful thing of how you're going to do when and what, and now it's time to implement. The thing to keep in mind when you're implementing any kind of change is that, yes, it does take time, but the thing that overlays all of that is communication. The stronger your communication plan, the greater the likelihood that that change is going to stick. So start with, for example, telling your employees that you've noticed that, people are leaving the organization and you were not sure why that was happening. So you went out and you spoke to employees. This is the feedback that employees have given you. And based on the feedback, you now have a list of 5 things that you're going to be putting in place over the next, say, 3 years. And that over that time, you would appreciate employees giving you additional feedback, and that to know that we are trying our best. Then you tell them exactly what changes they're going to expect to see and what their role is in the organization. So in this example, in our example of the high employee turnover, we had managers that we needed to improve the leadership in the company. So in this case, the incumbent, or the group of people who would be required to change, would be the managers themselves. So there's an added level of complexity in this example, because not only are you telling the employees that change is coming, you also have to train and coach and prepare managers to behave in a different way. And that takes time. The best way to do this is to figure out what will incent managers to behave the way that you want them to behave. Putting processes in place to help people behave the way you want them to behave absolutely does help in speeding up the change process. Finally, you have to remember to take stock every single year of your change plan. When you have a culture change plan that's well documented in the way that I've described in this video, it's important to go back on an annual basis to make sure that you are actually on track with the things that you said you were going to do, that you are seeing some incremental changes to the behaviors, and that the employees and the general population of your company are responding favorably to that change. So in our example of the high employee turnover, while you may not get to that goal employee turnover rate that you would have liked to achieve, you should have started to see fewer people resigning, fewer people leaving the company, and more people coming forward with saying, being more vocal on what they need and what they want with respect to potentially career advancement or how they view their leaders. Taking stock is probably, it's one of the last steps in the process, but it's probably the most important. Now, this isn't something that can easily be explained in our 10 or 15 minute videos. So if you do feel like you're ready to change culture in your company, then let's jump on a call and see how we can get that process outlined for you further. The link to book a call with me is in the description box below. If you like this video, make sure you hit the like button below and subscribe to the channel, because I'm back every Tuesday with more on building and nurturing your high performance culture. Now, if you did like this video and you want to check out more on some of the other videos that I have on building a high performing team and nurturing that high performance culture, then check out this playlist that I created, and also check out this other video on how to define your aspirational culture. That's it for today. Come back same time, same place next week.